Hey there and welcome back to XCOM. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our XCOM Enemy Within Ironman Impossible walkthrough. In the last episode we had yet another run-in with Exalt and we also made good progress on the research front, unlocking the heavy plasma. Today we are likely going to see the completion of the plasma sniper research project, but before we dive into that, let us take care of what I think will be a very important gene modification for our Assault Luisa Santoso. I think at this point it is no secret that Luisa might eventually replace Adam as the squad's go-to assault. She is simply a little more optimized to dish out damage. For the time being, however, Adam has a distinct advantage, and that would be his mimetic skin gene mod. So to enable Luisa to also safely scout out enemy territory, we are now spending 150 credits and 65 units of mel to send her to the labs, and in 3 days she will then also possess state-of-the-art cloaking abilities.
Thank you, Commander. I'll have the volunteer prepped and ready for surgery shortly. I'll send word when the procedure is complete.
And there we go, that is already all we need to take care of before we can start scanning for the first time today, so let's see what the episode has in store for us. Alright, no interruptions on our way to Plasma Snipers, arguably one of the most important weapon-based research projects in the mid to late game, as it will elevate our sniper's stopping power to a whole new level. The Plasma Sniper is the only thing unlocked here, but it will be able to reliably do double-digit amounts of damage, and with Resilius even able to fire twice every other turn, this is definitely a big step forward. Now, our next project will be the Guided Fusion Launcher, the one and only upgrade to the Heavy's rocket launcher. We are prioritizing this over the alloy cannon, the plasma version of the shotgun, as well as over new aircraft armaments, because we are slowly reaching a point in the game where the regular rocket launcher no longer holds up too well against our plasma-based weaponry, therefore making our heavies somewhat less useful on the battlefield. And especially with both Kim and Shoji now possessing psionic abilities, and with Andrea being a strong candidate for the Ain't No Cavalry Coming achievement, we want our heavies to matter, so let's get started on this brand new weapon and then we can continue scanning.
Laboratory online.
Okay, after several in-game months, we have now finally built our first laboratory, unlocking the Theory achievement, an achievement that is normally unlocked very early in the game, but so far not having a laboratory hasn't really hurt our chances. We can also see that Luisa has completed her modification process, and since we have a second lab about to be finished as well, let's quickly get that over with too.
Laboratory online.
And there we are, we now have 2 laboratories granting us a nice 50% bonus to research speed, and we can see the effects of that right away. We started work on the Guided Fusion Launcher on the 12th of August, with the project originally taking 12 days to complete. Now it's the 15th and we only have 6 days left on the project schedule, which would normally be 9 had we not just built those 2 labs. This will likely allow us to complete quite a few more important projects over the next few weeks, but for now, let's keep scanning. Okay, looks like our next mission might be a tough one, as we have a terror site to clear in Beijing. Now, luckily, at this point in the game we couldn't care less about panic, so even if we do poorly we likely won't risk losing any countries, but of course we want to do our best, and for that we need to upgrade our equipment. Our first purchase will actually be a mimic beacon, a handy device that can lure enemies towards a certain spot on the map, and ideally draw their attention away from civilians. We will of course also purchase a plasma sniper rifle for Resilius, but you can already see a quality weapon like this has its price, in this case 268 credits. The same is true, by the way, for the heavy plasma that we're also going to buy, but because of the price tag we will grab only 1, 2 might be a bit too much and might put us in a tough spot financially. And with all of the items ready to go, we can then prepare our squad for the task ahead. Now, with Luisa capable of activating stealth mode, she can switch back from Titan armor to the skeleton suit, since that allows for a lot more mobility, which she can put to good use as a stealthy scout, just like Adam. We also have an extra plasma pistol that she can have, and then we're moving on to Emilia, who will switch out the alien grenade for the mimic beacon. Emilia is in some ways our utility soldier, and her movement range should allow her to put that beacon pretty much anywhere we need it. Heavy Kim Lupai will then be the recipient of the heavy plasma. We need her to rack up kills for the next promotion, and the weapon upgrade will improve her chances, while Andrea doesn't shoot much in the first place with 3 rockets and 4 grenades, so it's less useful for her. And as advertised, Resilius will receive the brand new plasma sniper, hopefully making him a very deadly force on this mission. Finally then, we have Adam, who will give up his alien grenade for the arc thrower. You never know when an opportunity presents itself, and again, despite this being a terror mission, there is no pressure to save absolutely every single one of the civilians. We can very well take a few losses and the subsequent mediocre mission rating, if that is what it takes to get everyone out alive, preferably unharmed, and perhaps even with a captured alien on top of that. So, let's visit the terror site and see what awaits us.
Central, this is Big Sky. Confirm signal uplink. Strike team is in position near the terror site. Awaiting confirmation.
Solid copy, Big Sky. Strike 1 has been given the green light. Your highest priority is to protect those civilians.
Alright, we find ourselves near a military compound. You can see a number of tanks behind the wall in front of us, and of course, scattered all over the map are the 18 civilians that we are supposed to rescue. If we want the excellent mission rating, we need to rescue at least 14 of them, but again, unless we get everyone killed and fail the mission, even a lower rating won't hurt us too much, with global panic levels all at or near the minimum. So let's get going. We need to be a bit more aggressive this time and hopefully find our first group of enemies quickly, and today we are sending Luisa out to scout ahead. Okay, it looks like we have enemies over on the left here. They appear to be heavy floaters, so not an enemy that we should take lightly, and also one that we have not yet captured, so let's keep that in mind. Perhaps we can also make use of the mimic beacon, which Emilia can use 3 times per mission, so let's place that close to our starting location to hopefully lure the 3 floaters over to us. The rest of the squad will move up and go on overwatch. That way we can also do some damage if the aliens are indeed fooled by the device. And here we go, the floaters are in fact moving closer. Whether that was their plan all along or if the mimic beacon is responsible is hard to say, but we get off our first reaction shots and that is all that counts. Sadly though, for now only Resilius finds his target with the plasma pistol, all other shots go wide. After spotting our group, 2 of the floaters also wisely retreat further into the shadows, while number 3 boldly advances and allows a hidden Adam to fire his plasma rifle. That brings the enemy down to 5 hit points, but it looks like we're not done yet. Apparently also attracted by the mimic beacon, we have a group of chrysalids rushing in. Again, 2 of them play it safe and go into cover behind the tank here, while the third one is a little more adventurous. Most importantly though, with all this action we suffer no civilian casualties on the alien's first turn, even though we now have a pretty challenging task ahead of us with 6 enemies to kill. Thankfully though, we picked the bullet swarm ability with Kim, so after taking her first shot at the chrysalid here, she can act again. And with the heavy plasma immediately showing its use, the second action will now be a psionic mind fray on the floater. With a 76% success chance, she could get herself another kill here. And indeed, the 5 points of damage are exactly what we needed, and Kim is 1 step closer to leveling up both in rank and psionic ability. Now, this still leaves us with 2 floaters and 2 chrysalids that we cannot see at the moment, so let's move up Emilia to get a better view at the floaters. She is now in a flanking position, and that also enables squad sight for Resilius, so let's take aim with his new plasma sniper. Okay, 19 points of damage with the critical hit, that is enough for an instant kill. And well, we have a second shot thanks to double tap, so let's see what he can do with it. 10 more points of damage, leaving the floater with a very manageable 6 hit points, and we'll come back to it. But first, let's use Andrea's shredder rocket to blow up the tank behind which the 2 chrysalids are hiding.
Rockets away. Heavy ordnance confirmed.
As you can see, these tanks are unique as they explode for a whopping 15 points of damage, but it appears as if only one enemy was actually affected. If we move the camera, we can see one chrysalid corpse, but there's also a civilian hiding over there and still alive, which leads me to believe that the second chrysalid was probably just out of reach of the explosion. Good thing we still have Louisa and her run and gun ability, so that she can now dash over and take a look. And indeed, the second chrysalid is still alive, hopefully not for long though. Now, unfortunately, Louisa's advancement also revealed a group of mutons, however, they have not yet been activated. The game is sometimes a little weird when it comes to situations like these, where enemies are just at the edge of our sight radius, but we should assume that this group activates as soon as that turn starts. But let's worry about that when the aliens are up again. For now we are still in control, and let's see if Emilia can use her flanking position to her advantage.
No longer a threat.
Fantastic, that gets rid of the third floater as well now, and we still have a move left with Adam, so let's put him into cover right near the Mimic beacon and put him on Overwatch, and perhaps if a muton decides to check out the beacon, Close Combat Specialist might also trigger. Okay, so the mutons have spotted us as well, but again the two regular mutons stay back, while the Berserker rushes forward. As a melee unit it doesn't really have any other options, but of course this gives Adam a chance to attack first. 8 points of damage don't stop the Berserker on his way to the Mimic beacon though, which means Adam gets to fire again once the enemy comes closer. A further 8 points of damage are dealt, and now one of the regular mutons gets curious as well, but its movement range keeps it from getting too close.
Watch the flanks.
Somewhere in the shadows we also have our first civilian death, but for now things are still looking very manageable. Now a muton Berserker is also among the enemy units we have not yet captured, so perhaps we can try that now. First of all though, we have to weaken it a bit further, so let's move in Andrea, who can safely take aim without the risk of accidentally killing the muton. The Berserker is now left with only 2 hit points, granting Adam and his improved arc thrower a 95% chance for the stun. Let's see if that's enough.
Aye, attempting capture. Target incapacitated.
Alright, excellent. We have just captured a muton Berserker. Now we can worry about its 2 companions. For the first one, we will move Louisa into close range, so that she can take a free shot. Who knows, maybe that is already enough for the kill. Okay, only 6 points of damage, despite a high chance for a critical hit. That is unfortunate, but not a huge problem, as we can now simply move in with Kim, who could definitely use another kill, and who has a decent hit chance from a flanking position.
Kill confirmed.
And there we go, muton down, and Louisa still has the second half of her turn left, so let's get her cloaked again and look for the third and final enemy of this group. And she does in fact also spot it, although the muton is pretty far away at this point, so we definitely won't be able to take it out on this turn. But maybe we can lure it a little closer, because our first Mimic beacon has now expired, and Emilia can therefore now drop a second one, once again right in front of Close Combat Specialist Adam. Rosilius will also move up and go on pistol overwatch, and then we can wait for the aliens to make their moves. Right, no muton, but instead we have another group of chrysalids joining the party. Their appearance triggers the only overwatch we have active at the moment, and as always Rosilius finds his target. Just like earlier though, 2 enemies immediately opt for the retreat, while only one actually investigates the beacon. The muton also does not stand idly by and kills another civilian, but at least that confirms that it's still somewhere in the area. Meanwhile, one chrysalid has moved back into the building that it came from, while the other one went into the alley between 2 tanks, an alley that apparently also has another civilian in it. So, it looks like our task is laid out for us, and again we will try to get Kim as many kills as possible, so let's have her open fire at the closest enemy. And that is another kill, so she can now use her second action to reload, while Adam activates run and gun and goes looking for the second chrysalid. And there it is, rapid fire should hopefully do the trick. Okay, good thing we took 2 shots here, and now we can switch over to Louisa, who will do some damage control and save the civilian who is probably closest to the muton.
Heading out. You're clear. Move out.
Alright, so this is convenient. I had actually planned for Louisa to stealth back into full cover now, but 2 flanking shots with high chances to crit are simply too good to pass up.
Taken care of.
And the first hit immediately eliminates the target, leaving only the 3rd chrysalid, but that one is too far away for us to deal with it, so let's at least try to get eyes on his rough location by deploying one of Resilius's battle scanners.
Eyes in the sky.
That does not reveal anything, but if the chrysalid moves back out of the building, then we should be able to catch it. Since the area ahead of us appears to be clear, we can also safely dash up with Andrea and Emilia, and Miss Solberg can actually rescue another civilian in the process.
Move your ass. You're safe.
On the alien's turn, the chrysalid then briefly shows itself, and immediately vanishes again, only to kill the next civilian right afterwards. That leaves us now with only 1 more casualty to spare if we want to grab the excellent rating, but at least we don't spot anything else for the time being, so let's keep scouting with Adam. Now, normally I would have sent him into that spot near the door here, but since the chrysalid is so close by, let's aim for a position a little further away. Alright, and that reveals what should be the final group of hostiles on this map, yet another group of heavy floaters. They have not yet noticed us, and I would like to keep it that way, especially with Louisa on the opposite side of the battlefield, so let's first bring her a little closer to the action, always keeping in mind that that one chrysalid is also still roaming around. Resilius can move into squad side range, while Andrea keeps him covered just in case the chrysalid shows up. Kim moves up to potentially send a rocket over to the floaters, and Emilia can also cover Resilius, not with an overwatch, but with the 3rd mimic beacon, which should hopefully catch the floater's attention and perhaps even distract the chrysalid from killing any more civilians. That chrysalid remains out of sight though, and also does not kill anyone, so the floaters are up next, and of course the mimic beacon is simply too interesting, and they float right into our small trap.
Missed the target.
Unfortunately, Andrea can't capitalize on the reaction shot, but with the group only activating now, they won't take any hostile actions on this turn, so we should be safe. We do have 1 floater going on Overwatch, and Adam's position also gets revealed for some reason, but that is nothing that we can't handle. Adam is then actually up first to get rid of the Overwatch with his lightning reflexes, before he can attempt 2 rapid-fire shots against the floater next to him. Alright, 2 hits, but sadly no kill. We'll take care of that in just a moment. For now, it's time for Mr. Wargull to step up, but his headshot ability is best used against the target with full health.
I'm about to start keeping score.
Okay, that is the 2nd time Resilius has absolutely decimated a floater in this episode, and this makes things a lot easier now, so with the 2nd shot we can try to damage another full health enemy a bit. Alright, another critical, this time just shy of killing the floater. Seems like Resilius has a special kind of hatred for them. And with the fight turning more and more into our favor, let's also briefly make sure that the chrysalid is not hiding behind the garage door here, but it looks like the area is clear, so we can focus our attention back to the floaters. With Kim, we will now use another Mind Fray, which might get her another kill, as well as some psionic experience. Very nice, that should advance her psi abilities to the next rank if I'm not mistaken, but let's not celebrate too early. We still have a few more enemies to take out, and for the last floater we can try to give the kill to Louisa.
Clear to engage.
As she makes her move, she also spots a zombie inside the warehouse, but it's far enough away to not be a concern for now, so let's focus on taking out the floater first.
Kill confirmed.
And that's a hit, so now we only have the chrysalid and perhaps 1 or 2 zombies, so I'd say the best course of action is to activate overwatches with the remaining soldiers and wait out the alien's turn. And good thing we opened that door, as it now allows Emilia and Andrea to take aim at the chrysalid that's rushing by.
Enemy is still alive.
Sadly though, none of their shots connect and the chrysalid vanishes, but in its place the zombie emerges and heads straight for the mimic beacon. And it is now in a perfect position for Kim to collect yet another kill. Keep in mind that she can potentially fire twice per turn, so let's see what she does with a 95% hit chance.
No longer a threat.
Okay, 1 shot, 1 kill, zombie down. Time to find that chrysalid now. Adam runs as far as he can but doesn't spot anything, while Louisa does catch a brief glimpse on her way into cover, but I have no idea where she saw anything. The chrysalid was moving over to the right side of the warehouse, so perhaps somewhere over there. That is the best guess we can make at this time. She is well hidden anyway, so we don't have to worry about her, and let's get Resilius out of the fray as well with a quick grapple onto the rooftop. With the mimic beacon expired, Andrea and Emilia will also retreat a bit to get out of the chrysalid's melee range, and then we can put everyone on overwatch and wait. Alright, so the chrysalid appears to be undecided. It doesn't kill another civilian, but it also doesn't come after us, yet still reveals its position. We really couldn't have asked for more. Now, the plan is to give Heavy Kim Lupai 1 final kill here, but let's evacuate the civilian here first, otherwise it might get caught in the blast radius. Once the area is clear, we can move Louisa into the warehouse and lob a grenade at the enemy, which will do enough damage for Kim to finish it off. We could of course now move in to throw another grenade with her, but we haven't used a rocket yet, so let's try that instead.
Boom. Heavy ordnance confirmed.
Mission accomplished.
And there we are, with the final kill of the mission, Kim receives her long-awaited promotion. In hindsight, it probably would have been safer to use a grenade for this, since there was another civilian pretty close by, but then again, even another civilian casualty would not have changed anything about the mission rating. Excellent it is, just the way it should be.
An exemplary performance. Let's hope all of these operations go as smoothly as this one did.
Back in the base, we can see we have promotions waiting for Kim and Louisa, but Kim is up first as we can now pick her second psionic ability. We have the choice between Psi Inspiration, a more defensive power that can remove the effects of Mind Fray and Panic and grants a will bonus, and Psi Panic, a more offensive power that causes the target to panic. Since Kim here does not have a particularly high will score, however, and since that will score determines the success chances of Psi Panic, I think she's better off with Psi Inspiration, which she can then also use to boost the will of our primary psionic attackers. Now, apart from the psionic level up, Kim has also earned another rank, so let's advance her to Captain. Here we could pick Grenadier, allowing her to potentially carry up to 4 grenades into battle, but to be honest, I feel like that is a bit overkill and not even all that useful in the late game, so instead we're going with Danger Zone, increasing the blast radius of all rocket attacks, an ability that Shoji has also used multiple times already with great success. That brings us now to the final promotion for Louisa Santoso, as she has finally climbed the ranks up to Colonel. And no surprises here, while the critical hit immunity of Resilience is a very useful power, we are building Louisa up to be the ultimate killing machine, so Killer Instinct it is for a 50% critical damage bonus after using Run and Gun. And that's all, let's take a look at our loot next.
Your men certainly seem to have a knack for capturing alien subjects alive. I only hope they realize how important their work is in relation to ours. Please pass on my gratitude to our forces.
With our capture of the Muton Berserker, we have now unlocked another interrogation, and I actually also try to go light on the explosives this time, so we obtain a good number of weapon fragments which will help us in further research projects. The successful completion of the mission also earns us various panic reductions, but to be honest, that is no longer all that important. We have satellites everywhere and panic is pretty much a non-issue at this point.
Remember, we will be watching.
So here we are, approaching the end of another eventful episode, but before we wrap things up, let's quickly head over to the research labs and complete the Berserker interrogation. This earns us a research credit for armor technology, and we have quite a few more armors to unlock, so this will definitely come in handy. For the time being, however, we can continue with the guided fusion launcher, and then we can make the cut in today's episode. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then I would of course be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can go ahead and subscribe to help the channel grow, or perhaps check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.